The faith-based community, the pastors of our state, really play a significant role in fighting back against this opiate epidemic. It's everywhere. And so we've held conferences all over the state of Ohio. I'm just so pleased with what I've seen from the churches, from the pastors. There are many people today who are recovering addicts. You know, they're making it, they're functioning. They've been able to go back to their families. And the only reason they've been able to do that is because somebody in the faith-based community had faith in them, told them that there was hope, stayed with them, and became that really important person in their life. So it's really something that we just continue to encourage churches to come forward, take this on. You're not taking it on alone, but you play a role that's really a unique role and that nobody else can play that particular role. The faith-based community has really stepped up to this problem.
Pastor Leanne Goff helps lead Sunday service at Family of Faith Community Church in Newark. But her ministry influence reaches well beyond these four walls every day of the week.
I don't do the typical church.
Church volunteers hand out food and clothing to those in need.
We're seeing probably about 800 to 1,000 people come through our doors every month. There's times that we will find people sleeping in the bushes in front of our church. This opiate problem isn't just the church's problem. It's not just the government's problem. It's just not education's problem. It's all of our problem.
What do we do when we go on a scene where there's evidence of heroin or someone is overdosed?
In 2017, she was asked to be a Licking County chaplain, which involves going to death scenes.
I carry handcuffs, I have a uniform, I have a badge just like the police do, like our law enforcement do. I'm going through QRT training, quick response training. I carry Narcan in my purse in the event that I have to revive somebody. So I have a whole backpack I have to keep in my car for any moment that I'm called out. It's much bigger than I ever thought, but the need is so great that I'm up for the challenge, whatever that looks like, to help the community.
That's exactly the kind of attitude Reverend Nancy Day Ockauer is trying to spread in her role at the United Methodist Church.
I was just recently given this position of Director of Addiction Ministries.
She travels around 5 Ohio counties, encouraging hundreds of churches, big and small, to get creative about how they can be involved in the opioid epidemic solution.
Every church can do something. If you are a large church with great buildings, then maybe you could open your facility up for programs for youth and younger children whose families are in active addiction. When they get out of school, they either go home to a parent that's using or they wander around the streets. Other churches may be small but have great hospitality. And so maybe those churches could build a relationship with a local recovery house and get to know the residents there, and maybe just stop by once a month and provide a home-cooked meal to give these people living in the recovery house connection outside their environment and create a relationship with a local church.
One partnership she's involved with is providing a Friday night meal to people who need one. Area church volunteers take turns cooking and supporting hundreds of people each week.
We started this Friday night ministry, started out of the back of a pickup truck, and we were feeding between like 4 to 6, maybe 8 people would show up. We moved inside and it grew to up to 300 people. What we found is, in order to create a deeper relationship with these people, we needed to create a village. So immediately our volunteer program grew from like 4 to 6, and on a Friday night we may have upwards of 35 to 40 volunteers.
Fred Reeser helped Sean Copley.
I've been busted 6 different times for trafficking drugs. I ended up being a homeless heroin addict.
Now clean, Sean has rescued 6 others he once knew at a homeless, often drug-infused camp where people live in tents.
So it's like a ripple effect. You know, just from them 6 people, those are 6 families' lives that have changed, and it's rippling out. And it's amazing, it's wonderful.
You are perfect in all your ways. My name is Allison Rambo, and I'm the Executive Director of the Nest Recovery Homes.
Allison Rambo had ministered to women and people in prison, but after attending an Ohio Attorney General's Community Opioid Conference in 2015, she fulfilled a calling to open a recovery house for women in Wilmington called The Nest.
The Nest really is a place where they could come, and whatever place they were at, in the broken mess that they were in, and receive everything that they could in order to fly one day. We found that most people lack the things that they need to be successful, and especially when you've been using drugs for a long time.
Leap of Faith doesn't begin to describe Allison's journey.
There were days that I wanted to give up. I mean, Satan's constantly working against that, right? So there were days that I completely quit and I allowed myself to give up. And I, did all the I'm not worth it, God used somebody else, I'm not good enough, I'm a mess too, Lord, my life doesn't look perfect, pick somebody else. And then the next day, I'd get back up and keep going, because Satan would want nothing more than for me to remain useless.
We want to start in a safe place, so we're going to develop a safe place.
Now, in this family setting, Allison walks with these women through the daily, tiny victories of getting their lives back. She helps with things like trauma exercises.
Without finding the root cause of the addiction, they're unable to heal.
She even employs them. Allison created a lawn care and home construction business to help women like the Nest resident Haley Nimmersheim. Jobs are not easy to land when addiction is in your rearview mirror.
I ended up homeless. I was using multiple different drugs. Just coming here, there's been so many doors that have been opened and things that I could have never imagined. When I came here and I was immediately surrounded with the love, and just everybody just took me in as their own. I learned what it was like to really be loved even when I didn't love myself.
We walk alongside and help them, not in front. We don't do it for them. We don't walk behind them. We walk alongside them.
Allison suggests each of us can do one next thing: pray, donate, ask about needs where we live.
Everybody just kind of thinks like, oh, that's their problem, and I don't need to mess with that. And the reality is that God has called us to be the hands and feet, right? And wherever that may lead us.
We're just little family of faith in Newark, Ohio. But God's just looking for willing hearts.
Back in Newark, the path leads about a third of this church family to foster or adopt kids. Kevin and Jessica Deeds have raised their hands and opened their hearts.
We have fostered 37 children over a 9-year period, and we have adopted 4. And I would say 75% of their parents were addicted to some sort of drugs.
So well worth it. It was a lot of investment. I'd like to think we put a lot of positive role modeling in their lives.
We know we've made a difference. Like, they call us for help. They call us for just, to talk. They want to be part of our lives still. They still call me mom, call him dad.
I really feel God's like, let's take it up a notch.
Pastor Goff is proud of her church family and community family.
We come and we work together to see how can we do this together, because if we don't, we will lose this battle. So I've seen so many success stories that gives me hope.
The real progress we've seen in Ohio in regard to this opiate epidemic comes from local communities. It comes from the business community. It comes from educators. It comes from law enforcement, but it also comes from the faith-based community. Every talk I give, I talk about that and say, look, this is an integral part. They have to be part of the solution, because we have to have the whole community. And there are many people, candidly, who are addicts, that the best way they respond is to somebody who has a belief in God, and someone who uses that belief to do the right thing, to reach out to that individual. And it matters. It makes a big difference.